everybody is born with gifts and talents. Who believes that? We all have gifts and talents. Now I want to ask you, are you using them each and every day? See, when you have a gift and talent, what that gives you is an unfair advantage. And you know what it's like when you have an unfair competitive advantage, right? Because before people buy your product, who are they buying? They're buying you, right? Are they buying Waddell and Reed first, or are they buying you first? What if you come in? I'm an advisor for Waddell and Reed. Somebody, they want to work with you? I want to put your future in my hand. No. They're going to buy you first. So in buying you first, when you know what your talents are and your gifts, it comes out naturally. So I figured early on that I wanted to help people, that was one of my gifts, that I wanted to be involved in helping people get to that next level. So when I do this, I do it naturally because it's part of me. Now, when I was in corporate America, and I love working for other people too because I did well when I was there, but when I was at one of my companies, one of the big bosses found out what I did because I had did this for 10 years, speaking. And then I went back and went to a major company, and I was a corporate salesperson, and my boss's boss heard about what I did, because I didn't even talk about books anymore. I didn't talk about speaking. And so they started getting the word that this guy is a public speaker. This guy has spoke to hundreds of thousands of people. And he had a question for me that I couldn't answer. He walked up to me and he said, I heard about all the things that you've done before. He said, why are you working for us? He said, you should be advising me. And I couldn't answer him that I had dealt with rejection. I couldn't tell him, well, nobody wanted to buy my book one day, and I got my feelings hurt. I couldn't tell him that I got tired of pounding on doors trying to get speaking engagements and trying to ask people to hire me when I had experience and I had know-how. I got tired of going into the school system saying, you said you wanted African American men to come in, and you see the bureaucracy that they have. Instead of being for their children, they're fighting over what they're doing and the money that they have. If they don't use it, they lose it. And you know what they were doing? They were losing the money instead of hiring you. And you standing there saying, I'm here to come speak. This is what I do full time, and they rather fight and lose the money. That was heartbreaking to me. So I said, I'll go back to work. I know how to make 6 figures. And I'll just shut my mouth. And for 3 years, I didn't talk about speaking. I didn't talk about books. But I was a nervous wreck because this is what I did naturally. So when you're talking to your customer and you're talking to your clients, you have to bring out your story. You have to bring out your inside, who you are, your passion. You're not selling anything. You're helping people have a better future, aren't you? You're helping people get to a point where they can retire, aren't you? You're helping people satisfy things that they're not even aware that they need right now. Am I right? That's what gets you up. See, that's what makes you valuable. The difference in whether we use our gifts and talents is the expectations that we put on ourselves. See, you were just talking about the Bulls, right? It's all expectations. Right now, the playoffs is so great, and people love sports so much because everybody has to put on that pants leg, what? One leg at a time, right? And the greatest thing about it is that if you could pick a winner before the game started, what all the analysts do, right? They tell you who the champion is going to be, right? Oh, it's not going to be them, it's going to be them, right? But what do they miss out on that is intangible? Is those expectations that people have for themselves. How is Memphis going to come in and play against a championship team like the Spurs? That's the difference. Your expectations. So I want to ask you today, what expectations do you have on yourself? Are your expectations just average, or your expectations outstanding for yourself? These are the three things you need to do to take advantage of your expectations and your circumstances. One is put people around you that can help you at all times. So part of your expectations and your circumstances is what kind of people do you associate with? How many of you would want more sales from a better clientele, a higher clientele? That's your circle. That's your network. Isn't that something that you can do? Put yourself in a different network, a different circle? The second thing is the position and places and predicaments, like I just said. So the people we're around and the predicaments that we put ourselves in. How do you best use your time? Man, I spend so much time, because time is the most valued resource we have, right? I spend so much time figuring out where I need to be and who I need to be talking to. That's a key to sales. That is a key to starting your month, isn't it? If you don't start your month right, you're going to end it wrong. So part of it is you got to start off, where do I need to be? What people do I need to be talking to? Which people get me to more people? My chiropractor called, he said, man, I'm trying to get more business. I said, well, come to my business network. I went to Lindblom High School, so I started a network where we had college graduates that came out of Lindblom. 90% of the kids that came from Lindblom are college graduates. So I said, well, why don't we start a network with that school so that we can take advantage of all of those businesses, all of that mind power. Then I said, what's another school that's as powerful as Lindblom? Now, are you from Chicago?
No.
Okay, I know Earl's not from Chicago. You from Chicago? What high school?
I went to Brother Rice.
Brother Rice?
I went to Baldwin. I felt like we were just
Baldwin. Okay, where'd you?
I went to Mighty Inglewood.
Inglewood. All right, where'd you go?
I went to Finger.
Finger? Marshall?
Flower Tech.
Laura Tech?
Flower.
Oh, Flower.
Girls.
I feel sorry for all you all, because Lindblom was the best high school in Chicago.
Inglewood.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
one of the things, and I was telling Earl this, I said this is one of the cities, Chicago is a very cliquish city, right? And it's also a city where people will ask you what high school you went to before they ask you what college you went to, right? And I knew Lindblom had a huge network, and you had to test to get into Lindblom. And so, even though I was from Ida B. Wells housing projects, I tested into the school. My principal said, don't go there. She said, you will never make it at that school when I was in 8th grade. She said, those kids are smart and you're dumb.
But you could make it because the neighborhoods that you had to walk through, you had that Ida B. Wells
That's
presence,
right.
like.
And I came, and here I was coming straight out of Ida B. Wells. I was 103 pounds, about 5'2", had a big old afro, never combed my hair, always nappy, had these big teeth in my mouth, and I always talking my mouth wide open. And I was like, girl, you gonna date me one day. I said, that fool is crazy. And I go up in Lindblom, and I say, I'm gonna be the man. Something wrong with him. And girls used to run from me. They thought I was a thug, you know. So now girls see me now, they be like, oh, you got your teeth fixed? You kind of handsome. I'm like, yeah, you remember the days now. So the people you meet, the positions you put yourself in, and then the third thing that we have to do, and this is critical, you got to write this down. What do you do with the wisdom and knowledge that you get? See, all of us don't use it properly. Most of us abuse the wisdom and knowledge we get. We abuse it. So we don't know how to place what we learn and put it into context where it's usable. Now let me tell you, I'm not the smartest guy, right? When they came to recruit me, I had a 1.9 GPA. And the football recruiter said, what's your grade point average? Lindblom was not a sports school, it's an academic school. So I was the only football player that Western Illinois happened to come to the inner city of Chicago to look at. And the only reason the coach came, it wasn't for a particular player. He heard that there was an academic school in Chicago that had African Americans in it. And so Western usually recruited from the suburbs if they recruited an African American. They went to Harvey and Markham and out south. He said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. He didn't do anything but call the coach and say, I want to come by and talk to you. I would talk to the coach every day. Coach, I want to play football in college. I want to play football in college. Any schools call. He said, Bassette, nobody's called. Nobody's called. Every day I'm bugging my coach because he's my gym teacher too. Bassette, nobody's called. Then one day he said, Bassette, Western Illinois, he said, you won't believe this. The coach just showed up here. And he said, he's looking for defensive backs. And so I told him about you. So he's going to be here. They want to see your grades. So I didn't think anything of it. So when the coach came, he didn't say he wanted to see my grades. He said, what's your GPA? I said, GP what? He said, son, a grade point average. He said, you either A student, a B student, a C student, a D student, or F student. So we went to the counselor, and I wasn't an A student, I wasn't a B student, I wasn't a C student. I had a 1.9 out of 4-point scale. I was a D plus. And he said, you just blew a 4-year scholarship. I started to cry. Here I was in the projects, and anybody that knows Lindblom's in the Inglewood area, one of the worst areas in Chicago. So I'm coming from Ida B. Wells, taking a bus an hour, taking a bus and a train and another bus, get over to Inglewood area, you get robbed over there. Then you got to get on the bus, train, and bus, and get robbed. One day I got robbed twice. Second guy robbed, I said, man, I don't have nothing else. Now, here's a scholarship to go away, and I missed the grade. He said, you got one semester to get it right, and you have to get straight A's. And it may get your grades up to a 2.0. What do you think I graduated with?
2.2.
I graduated with a 2.00000. But he said, you know what? We already gave out all the scholarships. Missed the deadline. He said, but you can walk on the team. But he said, it's going to be so many players, you'll be about 8 teams deep. But he gave me an opportunity to walk on the team. And I went there, and by the first year, I made the traveling team because I was desperate and hungry to make it out of the projects. And that's the way most of us have to continue to carry ourselves. Are we desperate to win?